Yeah, go.
When you actually were about to play the roles, did you actually ever see any of the Japanese footage, or they just gave you a script and said, here you go?
Well, a little of both. We don't necessarily sit down and watch it beforehand, and I think that partially that's just a time constraint. We've got a lot of stuff to do. Like I said, when we do go in to record, like when I go in to record my lines, I'll record 4 or 5 scripts worth of my lines, which is a lot of dialogue for something like Inuyasha. And so time constraints don't really allow you to sit down with each individual person beforehand and watch it. And a lot of the stuff that we get, we don't necessarily have access to unless we're going to specialty shops, and it can be expensive. So no, we don't sit down and watch it off the bat. But as we go through it and we want sort of like to figure out where maybe that is going, and it's not necessarily apparent with how it's written, then we will definitely watch the original Japanese and see what they did and go, oh, okay. So then we have our own sort of take on it. And I think as an actor, it's important to be organic and go with it as you see it, sort of create, these characters, these voice-wise, as you see it as it moves forward as well. Yeah, it's terribly serious answers I'm giving for everything, aren't I? But it's true. I mean, it's as an actor, you want to see, you want to see it evolve, and and one of the big things, in acting is to make discoveries, and to not say the line like you've said it 100 times, and you kind of have for. So it works well for that, I think. Yeah.
We have about 6 or 7 minutes left, so if you guys want to get in a closing question each.
Okay.
So did you have anything, Joe?
Nope. Did you?
I was just thinking. I mean, we've asked everybody. How do we fight piracy?
Well, I think it's about my own personal opinion is that it's going to have to change and evolve into something that might need to be unique to this industry. But I think overall, it's going to be about streaming and paying for an account that allows you to stream stuff, or paying by the episode like an iTunes sort of deal. But I think it is important to fight piracy. I know that there are a lot of different opinions on it, and mine is pretty straightforward. If I create something, I own it. And if you purchase a copy of it, then you're purchasing the right to own a copy of it and to watch that copy of it. But I still own the property. And my analogy would be simplistic, but it would be to say, if one guy bought a disc for $50 and then put it on the internet, 1 million people downloaded it and watched it. It's 1 million persons worth of revenue. It doesn't exist. We say, oh, it's an amazing, huge hit, and it made all of $50. Now that's an extreme circumstance, but I think the industry, though, at the same time, has a responsibility to keep up with the times. And part of the thing, though, as well, is that not everybody has a Best Buy right next door to them. And that makes accessibility a little bit difficult. But, if people are able to download it, then they're obviously able to have an account where they could, purchase the right to download the stuff. And I think that's going to be the future of everything. Like Apple TV, and I mean, it's kind of restrictive in what it is right now, but that idea is the future, I think, is streaming on-demand television. I think that the idea of cable channels is going to go the way of the dodo, and it's going to be that. It's going to be being able to watch stuff when you want it as it comes up, and maybe they'll make it possible, they'll release it at a certain time, but then whenever you want to watch it, that'll be it. Because we've already got that with DVDs, right? DVRs.
Yep.
You watch it when you want to watch it, you set up your thing, I'm taping a race right now.
And Hulu and other sites have got it. It's only a matter of time.
So that's the future, I think, of the industry anyway. So making that accessible to people is the next thing. But until that time, I think that people do need to be conscious of the fact that, it's not your property to take, and so if you can pay for it, then I think that people should. So that's the big thing. I think that the industry needs to change, but I also think people need to get outside of the me mentality and go, okay, I want to see it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, doggone it, I have the right to see it. I've had people tell me that. I have the right to see this. They show stuff in Britain that they don't show here, and I have the right to see it. I say, well, the way we sell these programs, not necessarily within this world, but like film, television, all sorts of things, we get paid as actors based on territory sales, right? So, and each territory is worth a certain percentage to us when it comes back to us in terms of residuals or prepayments or these sorts of things. So, if your territory hasn't been purchased by somebody, if no one has the right within your territory to air that stuff, then that then that product hasn't been sold. That property hasn't been sold to you yet. It hasn't been made available to you. So, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, people will do it and not, and I don't know, but yeah. I know it's long-winded.
It's all right. Last question for us.
Yeah.
Do you think because of all your voice acting and everything, then your kids actually have developed maybe an interest in trying that for themselves when they get older?
They do. My eldest does. They do little voices. I mean, every kid does little voices, right? They like to roar, rawr, you know, and they're little. And, so we have fun with that. But I mean, I think that kids do whatever is celebrated in your house. So if you read a lot, then your kids will want to read. They'll want to emulate you, and so that's why it's responsible parenting is being a good role model. But you know, that's what they'll emulate. And so you know, I use silly voices in the house, just being silly, and so they'll do that. We have a book that we read, and there's a little line in it where the character says, "I'm going to sit right here and practice my noise. I mean, my drums." And my daughter just gets the hugest kick out of that. And so she does her own version of it. So we'll read the book, I'll do the line, they'll both laugh, then my older one will do her version of the line that I just did. So she's already mimicking and like emulating it. So it's because I do it. And you know, if I was designing houses, she'd want to sit and design houses too. So, but yeah, I mean, if they want to do it, then that's fine and that's great. I mean, you know, go to it. Fun at parties, right? I mean, even at that base level, if you could just do silly voices, whatever, it's entertaining.
I was gonna say that's all. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Doesn't meet one voice.
You better watch hyphytech.net. What gives me the right to tell you what to do? Hammer pants.